All right, it is Friday, December 13th. It is 6:38 a.m. We are continuing with In the Grip of ThermostatAnon, which is a response to YouTube's censorship and removal of our video with this long title, which is also titled, and the original title was In the Grip of MQ-MAGAn. And as everyone knows who's been following this series, this is installation number 26, I believe, and the series is an argument against YouTube's action to remove and censor our video, and a rejection of the claim that it violates the policy on harmful conspiracy theories, and an argument that, in fact, it does precisely the opposite. It points to conspiracy theories, those specifically involved in the production of the January 6th event of 2021, which is also known as an insurrection, and it also points to the future of fascism in America under Department of Homeland Security individuals such as Chad Wolf, and the new administration, if you can even imagine, looks much worse than the first Trump administration. So God save us all, everyone, as Tiny Tim says, or whatever the line is. I guess God bless us, everyone. We'll see how we do. As I've said before, based on the tone of YouTube and Google and like entities, our presence on social media, may have a limited lifespan in relationship to the act of censorship in the former democracy of the United States of America. So we'll just have to see. And I guess that's why we're so interested in producing this defense, because at least if finally that we are censored and removed from YouTube, at least we will have had a statement arguing our case, and that's in some way what this series is all about. And I think it's also really important to remember that all you folks that just voted Trump in for a second term seem to have forgotten all of the stuff that we're doing in this particular narrative. And maybe that's why YouTube wants to take it down. Let's help the American public forget, so that we can continue to exploit the short-term memory. I guess that's what Turkey was all about, right? The American Cultural Tradition and or Cultural Memory Complaint Department spokesperson, who has proudly announced already, is taking over the position of chief of the Stochastic Intelligence Agency on January 20th of 2025. And so I guess we will need to nominate a new spokesperson for the Department of the American Cultural Tradition and or Complaint Department. And if it's not going to be Turkey, or perhaps he can serve in both roles, although I doubt it. I think that would be a conflict of interests. So, which doesn't seem to be important elsewhere, but still is important to us here at A Contract in Phi through Theta, which I also believe that Turkey explained why we pronounce a contract in Phi through Theta. In fact, before I move on, let's just see if I can demonstrate why we pronounce a contract in Phi through Theta a contract in Phi through Theta. I don't know if I can do this quickly enough, but let's try. right, let's see. That was longer than I had hoped to get that up there. Let's see. I'm going to make sure that we can hear Aaron.
Higher contract and fee through Theta's 117 YouTubers. This is who Aaron, AI pronounce a contract and fee through Theta.
Oops, that meant to be this. Let's try that again.
Higher contract and fee through Theta's 117 YouTubers. This is how Aaron, AI, pronounce a contract and fee through Theta.
Okay, I think that adequately demonstrates our point. And so as Turkey explained, because the rest of us here at a contract in fee through Theta can't change the way that Aaron pronounces a contract in fee through Theta. We don't pronounce a contract in fee through Theta, a contract in phi through Theta, but a contract in fee through Theta, so that Aaron won't feel awkward about his inability to pronounce the organization's name improperly. And Turkey discussed that a bit, and you can go back and check out that particular video that Turkey made if you wish to, or you can go back and you can look at review the various videos in which Aaron talks about a contract in fee through Theta, and you can acknowledge his pronunciation from there. All right, so I'm closing this out, and we're gonna go ahead and start analyzing this one. This is Mike Pence, and we checked for flies yesterday and we couldn't find any, so I think this is actually not the doppelganger, but the actual Mike Pence. It's interesting that he's pointing to his own word bubble. I guess, underscoring, like, see, I can talk even though I'm wearing the COVID mask. And he seems to be performing, some duty in relationship to NASA and the United States Space Force. And what he has to say, and I'm not sure why this is in turquoise. I probably knew at one point, but it slips my mind right now. It's kind of strikingly dissimilar from the typical white text that we utilize. So if anyone has an idea, once again, you can contact us here at a contract in fee through Theta by using space-time travel communication coordinates, and if you can figure out a way of letting us know, utilizing space-time travel communication coordinates, why this lettering is in this light blue or sky blue or perhaps turquoise, go ahead and do that, and then we'll do an addendum or follow up explaining that. The original Mr. Pence, the Modesto Manifesto, Mike Modesto Manifesto Pence says here, my final gesture as acting vice guardian of the galaxy, and in keeping with the masculine orientation of our triangle. He's talking about the upward pointing triangle as opposed to the delta that points downward, that is often associated with Devi and other things feminine. And if you don't think so, and you don't take my word for it, you can look up Judy Chicago and Dinner Party, and you can check out the shape of the dining table of those individuals who were invited to the dinner party. And of course, Judy Chicago's dinner party, was a big part of our 2020 campaign, especially in the beginning when we hoped to celebrate the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote by electing a woman, our first woman president, which, of course we failed to do, and we have once again failed in the 2024 election. But I guess that's what Mike Pence's job is all about. Making sure that the all things feminine, not merely the sacred feminine, are erased from our cultural memory. Seems like something that Turkey might want to address before he leaves his position as spokesperson for the American Cultural Tradition and our Cultural Memory Complaint Department, and takes over the new position of Stochastic Intelligence Agency Director. But we'll see. I'll talk to him about that and see if he wants to do something on that. But once again, we'll go back to the beginning. My final gesture as acting vice Guard-Alazon of the galaxy, and in keeping with the masculine orientation of our triangle here, as suggested to me by my good friend Irandu Udanta, shall be to rename NASA's so-called Artemis moon program Big Johnny 427, which Irandu and I agree sounds much more in keeping with the phallic nature of our mission. And there's the phallic nature of the mission right there. You can see the rocket blasting off to wherever it is. And I guess, Mars missions, as mythologized, I guess, by Leon Mosquito and his penchant for ignoring scientific data. The colonization of Mars, I guess, is much more manly and of a more phallic nature than landing on the moon. The moon, often regarded as a female symbol, not in all cultures. It's not universally cross-cultural, but it's often identified as a female aspect, and certainly in the tradition of astrology and other and elsewhere associated with female goddesses. One of whom happens to be Artemis. Artemis hunts by moonlight. Artemis is also a maiden, which I suppose would be a real problem for Mike Pence and Artemis's support staff, I guess we could call it, are all maidens as well. So if you want to devote yourself to the goddess Artemis, there are certain restrictions. It's more intense than the Modesto Manifesto in a certain way. You have to abjure, a life of sexuality, at least a life of heterosexual sexuality that involves men. I'm not sure whether the devotees of Artemis are allowed and authorized to have relationships with one another. I presume they are, and that would also be a problem for Mike Pence, here. And he's in fact doing his job as the spokesperson for all things patriarchal and in our culture. One of the first things that occurs to me is that Mike Pence doesn't really have a fine-tuned understanding or in-depth knowledge of the stock characters of Greek comedy, because he refers to himself here as the Guard-Alazon. Obviously, that's of the galaxy, and that includes he believes that he has this relationship with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess they approached him, and maybe Yandu, I guess maybe Yandu gave him this title. I don't know, and then misled him about what his name was. We'll look up Yandu Udanta in a minute, but it seems to me like that they're kind of playing a practical joke on Modesto Manifesto Mike, because this title, acting, guard Alazon, or vice guard Alazon of the galaxy, puts him in the role of the Alazon, right? And which he's performing fairly well here. The braggart, right, who overestimates his own abilities and is always taken down by the Iron, who is this kind of Socrates like figure, or we could say trickster, right? And from whom the word irony is derived, but this individual is tends to another good example of the Iron would be Yogi Berra, right? And relates to this long tradition in Greek thinking as well, from that probably originates with Diogenes, and we can think of Diogenes as this like master of performative irony, performative because it wasn't just a verbal show. He in fact lived in a jar with his family of dogs in the Greek polis, and is known for searching with a lamp in midday, for a good man, and not being able to find one, and that kind of performance art, I guess, in one way or another inspires a lot of the work that we do, and is important to understand for an entity like ThermostatAnon, who seems to have completely misinterpreted our relationship to this narrative and its unfolding, and which is one of the reasons why we're trying to correct it with this lengthy series that we're now on the 26th installment of in the Grip of ThermostatAnon. He seems to be bragging about the fact that he's guard Alazon, so bragging about his status as Alazon, and sort of self-demonstrating in the process of doing so that he is the Alazon, and but not really understanding what that means, right? And then taking Yandu Udanta's word for the fact that his name is Irondu, sort of misrecognizing the Iron in there, and hence misrecognizing the relationship as one of amiable compatriotism. Is that a word? Amiable compatriots, but then sort of reinforcing like this this patriarchal relationship to all things exploratory, as all things colonial, and this projected masculinity onto the rocket and the triangle and the big engines, I guess, or I'm not sure. We'll have to try to figure out what the number 427 references. There are a number of possibilities, and some possibilities it probably doesn't reference, but let's see. We talked about Artemis. We'll look up Yandu Udanta, and then I'll start talking about the number 427. At which point I think once we get all of that taken care of, we can probably move on to the next image. But let's start with Yandu. Okay, so Yandu is one of the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's a weapons expert and a hunter, and that's probably why that he shows up in this moment in the narrative in which Mike Pence, wants to, reframe the Artemis mission, without the reference to the moon goddess, Artemis, or if she's not Selene, I think is the name of the moon goddess in Greek mythology, but Artemis, hunts by moonlight and tends to be associated with the moonlight. So we have a playlist, and if you want more information about how that particular mythological character plays out in some of the other work that's up on a contract in Phi through Theta is YouTubeverse. You can look up Artemis, and particularly Artemis Moonlight. We have a moon journal. I think at least for a year, every full moon we documented and put up in a playlist. But although I do think that the playlist exceeds a year's worth of moons and has a few other moons in it as well. But it's I believe it's based on the Kenneth Pagin. I don't want to call it a novel, but it's a long and it's really an interesting narrative. The Journal of Albion Moonlight, and I think that we refer to this moon journal as the Journal of Artemis Moonlight, or some such playlist. So you can look that up and investigate that series if you care to. But I believe that Yondu Udanta is represented here because, like I said, he's associated with this ability, to he has a mastery of all types of weapons, and hunts and utilizes arrows. So some of these things they make him a good alternative in this masculinist universe, to substitute for Artemis. So Yondu Udanta, and to remind everyone, NASA's space program, really was, called Artemis. So that we didn't invent that. Mike Pence just wanted to change the name, because that's what he does, right? He erases women from public office and history, right? So here's some information about Yondu, and then I don't know how much of it is really important, other than the fact that he's not Irandu, right? He's Yondu, so he misrepresented his name to Modesto Manifesto Mike, and Modesto Manifesto Mike, didn't seem to be aware of it, and they gave him Modesto Manifesto Mike this title of Guard Alazan, which he didn't really seem to understand, or he probably wouldn't have been bragging about it. Let's see, powers and abilities. Sixth sense, empathetic, expert hunter. That's really what I was, Yondu is an expert hunter, and of course Artemis is associated with hunt, and yields arrows composed of yaga, a special sound-sensitive metal found only on Centauri 4. He can control their trajectory via high-octave whistling. So that's probably another useful thing. All right, I think we're done with Yondu. I think I can close. Well, I'll leave it open just in case we need to return to Yondu. I don't think so. I'm not really sure what I was thinking with the 427. I know it's not a BRE question. I might have the 427. Johnny, what was it? What did he say? Big Johnny. Sounds like Johnny Appleseed, right? So Big Johnny. I mean Johnny, is just I don't know. It's kind of a classic, Americana name, right? Johnny Appleseed, Johnny Too Bad, whatever, So although Johnny Too Bad isn't, strictly speaking American. I think it comes from, I think it's Jamaican, but I don't know, maybe there was an American version originally, and then it just got turned into this figure, right, in the reggae verse. But in any case, Johnny is a name that we associate with, Chevys and fast cars and stuff like that. What was the cartoon? I don't know, was his name Johnny, or was it? Anyway, probably some race car driving Johnnies. Anyway, so maybe it's a reference to the Chevy 427 engine. I'll just read the part that's highlighted. Because this sounds like big gun kind of thing, right? The highly successful and versatile 427 cubic inch 7.0 liter version of Mark IV engine. Oh, so that's interesting. So Mark IV, and then was introduced in 1966 as a production engine option for full-size Chevrolets and Corvettes. And I don't know why, but Pence just seems like a Chevy kind of person. The bore was increased to 4.5 inches, 108 millimeters, with power ratings varying widely depending on the application. And then Mark IV, what was this planet called? Now I can't find it. Oh, Centauri 4, but then that's not really very close to Mark IV. I think that's a little sketchy to try to, the Mark IV, Centauri 4. I don't think we can make a connection there, but maybe maybe the engine was what I was thinking of. Or if you go to NASA, I guess they've developed a new metal alloy, I guess originally designed probably as casting for these rockets and spacecraft, to survive in the local and outer galaxy. But the manufacturer of this new alloy, apparently, like, they're also marketing it for other uses, and selling it, to other companies. So you might want to read this. This is the NASA 427 aluminum alloy. NASA manufactures stronger, lighter, and cheaper parts with the new aluminum alloy. NASA has developed a new aluminum alloy, NASA 427, with improvements in strength and processing time, and because of improved strength, less aluminum is required. These benefits reduce the volume and weight, which in turn reduces material costs. The alloy also enhances the thermal coating process by decreasing the time needed for heat treatment. This technology has a high potential for use in various automotive applications, including aluminum wheels, control arms, steering knuckles, and other components. And so maybe like with the big Chevy engines and stuff, and this new alloy, it's kind of a the right stuff, baby, the right stuff kind of referent, right, to all of those like masculinist heroes of increased speed and breaking records in speed and all that good stuff, and certainly that plays into Leon Mosquito's self-identification as being stronger, lighter, and more efficient than other males, and in his delusional, right, sense of himself, and which Pence seems to be participating in here. And I guess it's silver, like Mike Pence's silver hair, so that could be it. There's also I found this, and I don't really know what this is. Open Science for Life in Space. And I guess this is a study that was done, Open Science number 427. So it's kind of interesting because it is a study of space flight effects on mammalian development. And these poor creatures that are subjected to these tests, for the benefit of, I guess, both whatever the Artemis project is going to be called, Big Johnny 427, or whatever Leon Mosquito is referring to his Mars colonization project as, are subjected to these various forms of torture in order to establish sort of conditions under which survival and the opposite of survival, I guess demise, is probable or likely in space. Here are the objectives. The development of sensory systems has been shown to be affected by stimulation. It is hypothesized that exposure to microgravity reduces the stimulation of the developing fetal vestibular system and alters early vestibular functions in fetal rats. The purpose of this experiment is to explore that hypothesis as well as to study the effects of spaceflight on the behavior and physiognomy of pregnancy, labor, delivery, and the onset of postnatal care, especially with respect to lactation. And all of this pregnancy stuff seems to be, once again, part of the Mike Pence and Christian nationalist project, right? Women, women's function is to produce masculine young, and beyond that, they shouldn't really be allowed to have any rights, right? I mean, that's basically the new objective of the it's not a majority, but the moral minority, I guess. And of course, a big part of that moral minorities, goal, and which is pretty clearly outlined in the 2025 project, is to transform the democratic nation of the United States of America into the patriarchal dystopia of the United States of Gilead. And if you want more information about the relationship between the 2025 project and the United, the proposed principles of the 2025 project in relationship to the United States of Gilead, you can look that up either by looking up, looking up the 2025 project, strictly on its own, or you can look it up in relationship to one of the key terms, related to, Margaret Atwood's warning in The Handmaid's Tale, either Gilead or Handmaid, or perhaps Margaret Atwood's vision of America, and some other search term like is it a prophecy of America's patriarchal turn? I mean, it always was a patriarchy, but it's only getting worse, right? So as a child of a single parent, a single mother, who was raised in the 60s and 70s by a woman on her own, it's certainly disturbing to me, this extreme turn, but I think it should be, fairly disturbing to all women and most men if they're relatively sane. But anyway, that's let's see what the data is on this. I'm not sure whether this is anachronistic. It doesn't really matter, since we do a lot of space-time travel, there is really no anachronism in space-time travel, is there? Because we just, simply claim that we knew it was coming. When was the study made? Does it say? I can't find it. No, can't find it. So then I don't see a means of gaining more information on that. Let's see. And then here's an overview of some of the. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it has a totient, which is also known as the what is it called? The Euler's totient function, and that relates to primes. How many primes? How many relative primes there are for a particular number? And that's not a phi. That phi doesn't have a value in and of itself. That's a variable, and here the variable is 360. I guess what makes it interesting as a totient number is that it's 360, and there are 360 degrees in a circle, right? So that's kind of interesting if we wanted to do something with that in terms of having a relationship to the simple set of space-time travel communication coordinates, right, which has a limit of a maximal number of 360. So I suppose we could assign one of these relative primes to one of these numerical values that relate of which we have 360 to each of the entities in that playlist, and then that'd be another way of making that simple playlist more complicated, and another good reason to take Turkey's suggestion seriously and refer to the simple playlist as a complex playlist, and to refer to the complex playlist as the even more complex playlist, as he said. The reversal of the reversal of 427 is 724. Well, that seems to me like a relatively trivial form of data. Some of the maybe less trivial stuff, like refer to all of the definitions of types of numbers which it conforms to. We could do I'm kind of tempted to do a numerical version of the Minister's Cat game here. We'd be cheating because we already have a list of all of the solution sets. And if you were going to do the numerical version of the Minister's Cat game, you'd have to remember that 427 is a non-trivially palindromic number. You couldn't just read it, but it's not really. So it's not really the Minister's Cat because it doesn't involve intellectual work. It's already recorded here for us, but it might make an interesting list poem. So I think I'll go ahead and read those. And then, my readers, I always say readers because I guess I say readers because there's a lot of interpreting you have to do, even though you're not necessarily reading, but you are reading a little bit if you're reading some of this stuff as I'm speaking, right? So, but my viewers and listeners can choose, which of these values of the number 427, they prefer, or if you prefer none, you can have none. But I'm just gonna read this as a kind of a list poem. See if I can get far enough back. Can you? I don't know if you can see any of those. Just go from the top. The number 427 is a non-trivially palindromic number. The number 427 is a semi-prime number. The number 427 is a cyclic number. The number 427 is a polynomial. No, I can't say the name. My French is pretty bad. Is a polynomial number. The number 427 is a ThFAJ6AGOThGHOTHMQ-MAGAn number. The number 427 is a Duffian number. The number 427 is a lucky number. The number 427 is a palindrome in is a palindromic number in base 4, base 11, base 13, base 14, and base 16. The number 427 is a nialdromic number in base 8. That one was hard to pronounce too. It doesn't have the rhythm that we really would have liked this to have. The number 47 is a non-primable number. The number 47 is a polite number. The number 40, did I say 47? Let's go back. Let's start all over. I mean, that was pretty bad. Let's Polynoc, Fibodiv, Duffian, lucky. Oh, palindrome, not palindrome, palindrome. So you can see my dyslexia is getting in the way because some of these words are less familiar than others, and well, it's interesting, but it makes for a bad rhythm in the reading of this poem. So let me really look at these words and see. Say palindrome, 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 nialdrome, polite, Fibodiv, because it's like a Fibonacci number. Fibodiv, Polignac, and I'll just have to choose a pronunciation because I don't know how to pronounce his name. Polignac. Okay, let's see if I can do better. All right. The number 427 is a non-trivially palindromic number. The number 427 is a semi-prime number. The number 427 is a cyclical number. The number 427 is a de Polignac number. The number 427 is a Fibodiv number. The number 427 is a Duffian number. The number 427 is a lucky number. The number 427 is a palindrome number. The number 427 is a nialdrome number. The number 427 is an unprimable number. The number 427 is a polite number. The number 427 is an arithmetic number. Now that was much better. Oh, the number 427 is a deficient number. I wonder why they put that down here and not in the list. Well, I guess there's more, actually. It's just broken up. Well, we'll just, we'll do this one as a couplet. The number 427 is an equidigital number. The number 427 is an evil number. All right, so that's probably enough. And you can choose, which of those, you prefer in terms of interpretational strategies for selecting the number 427. I also know that Anthony Braxton has a composition called composition number 427, and maybe I'll see if we can put up a new version of, we need to put up a new version of the complex space-time travel communication coordinate that represents Anthony Braxton anyway, because we've added a few things, and he's one of the artists that we need to refilm. So if I do that today or tomorrow, which I may or I may not, but if I do that today, well, we'll have to do it eventually anyway. But if I do it today or tomorrow, I'll see if I can utilize, and I can never promise to utilize anything because YouTube has the final say in what one's allowed to put up and what one isn't. But if I can utilize composition number 427 to represent the new material added to the Anthony Braxton playlist, I will, and find some excuse for doing so. All right, so is there anything else that we need to do here? I don't believe so. let me take that away, and I'll turn this down a little bit before we, or it doesn't have to be off, but see what's coming up. I haven't looked in advance. I looked at this one. I knew this one from yesterday. Oh! All right, so, let me shut down for a second and see how much time I have, and whether we want to do all of this today, or because it's such a different part of the narrative, you know, and it proceeds into what we're going to see in the next in 4 years, if in fact, you know, Trump commits himself to the tariffs that he's, you know, promised, and does the tax breaking for the billionaire class of individuals, whom and millionaires, I guess, that whom Bernie Sanders refers to as the 1%, and you know, we're going to be seeing a lot of people with signs like this, but let me see how much time we have and whether I want to commit myself to further discussion, or just have a brief one today. I think we had a brief one yesterday as well. Like anything less than an hour is pretty brief for this series. And then, you know, you'll have, like we had yesterday, you have you can anticipate, you know, what we're going to talk about with this particular image, and you know, utilize, you know, your own sets of memory and understanding of independently, you know, of our analysis of what this means, and what this means not only in terms of that moment, but in terms of the proposed you know, prescience that this number might, you know, have represented in 2021, and what it means to us today. You know, will December 25th, 2024 be the last Christmas that the working class in America, you know, can actually experience as a Christmas of giving gifts and and practicing, you know, consumer, you know, culture, consumer capital culture, or not, you know. So, but let me close this out and get a time frame. I think we're just going to proceed with this tomorrow, and I would prefer it because the space-time travel division of a contracting fee through Theta, there's a lot, you know, going on there, and it shouldn't be confused with Modesto Manifesto Mike's relationship with NASA, and in order to you know, to keep those two things discrete, you know, I think it would be best to talk about this image and introduce this character. And you'll notice that I'm intentionally not naming this character, allowing you to utilize your own, you know, cultural memory and understanding of what went on during the first Trump presidency, and among the first set of cabinet members to project, you know, a future of America, you know, during, you know, following the first term, Trump's second term, and if there is America beyond that second term, you know, what it might look like economically. And you know, and then, you know, to keep in mind, you know, these dates and where we are now, and then you know, and we can discuss, you know, some of the numerical values and details tomorrow or sometime in the near future. Hopefully, you know, prior to December 25th, 2024.